Okay, we're back to Perek Beis. Today we're finishing off Perek Beis. Remember, the whole point of this Maamer is to tell you about the king who makes a feast for his friends, but you have the dog under the table eating a bone who thinks the whole feast is just to give him a bone. So, we had to explain yesterday how Hashem gives to the whole world. That firstly, Hashem comes into the world due to Torah. And we explained how tefillin and mezuzahs are coming to us. Oh, Hillel, perfect. We're in the middle of talking about how Hashem comes into the world through mitzvahs. Yeah. Torah and mitzvahs. So when you put on tefillin, Hashem comes in through the way of Maamer. Hashem, you do tzitzis, Hashem comes in the way of the 32 paths of Chokhmah. Now we're going to learn about tzedakah. You guys have tzedakah? It starts in a line that starts with the word yiyah, halfway down the base. Of mitzvah tzedakah, what happens when you give tzedakah? Or in Baruch Hu, Hashem's infinitude shines with midas of chesed, through chesed, kindness, giving. See, Hashem relates to us the way we act. So Hashem gives us an opportunity to give tzedakah, to do kindness, and then Hashem shines into the world in the way of kindness. If you need more kindness in your life, maybe give more tzedakah. Okay, Gavna, and similarly, b'shar mitzvahs with a lot of the mitzvahs, sukkah. Let's say through sukkah, makifim de'imah, with the makifim, which is the surrounding ar. Remember the ar we talked about is too strong to actually feel it, but rather it permeates you, and it's the makif, the surrounding ar from the level of binah. So just like a sukkah, you sit in the sukkah, it surrounds you. Hashem's also surrounding you. It says in the Kuntres that when you sit in the sukkah, Hashem's giving you a big hug, which is why a sukkah, the minimum size, is how many walls?
4, 3, and a little bit. 2 and a little bit.
2 and a little bit. Very good, because your arm has 1, 2 parts, and a hand, a little bit. So Hashem's giving you a big hug with the sukkah. That's why it has to have at least
1 hand. If you want 2 hands.
Maybe that's why you should make sure to have a full-walled sukkah. Make sure it's a full bear hug. Okay, what's with the next mitzvah that brings Hashem into our life? Hi, Gavna. Yeah. Over Esrog. What's the Esrog? Because Malchus. Esrog draws down Hashem into the world in the way of Malchus. And all other mitzvahs like this. All this is dictated by the Chokhmah of Torah. Who said to make a sukkah? The Torah said to make a sukkah, tefillin, esrog, the sukkah, tefillin, esrog. But exactly that way. That's specifically like that. That's how you're going to bring down Hashem into the world. Hillel, you ever wanted to bring Hashem into the world? Well, you have to learn the Torah to find out how to do that. Not in some other way besides that. You might think that the way to bring Hashem into the world is to save the whales and to recycle and not to use plastic straws. And these might be all very nice things, but the only real way to bring Hashem into the world is what the Torah says. So they're ever saying something here very practical and very spiritual. Firstly, practically, if you want to bring Hashem into your life, you have to do according to the Torah. The wisdom of the Torah teaches you how to bring what's Hashem's will. Then spiritually, Chokhmah is the expression point for Ratzon, for Hashem's will. So, by the way, there's a lot of people who was it? The Friedrich Rebbe said. I saw in the Sikha of the Friedrich Rebbe, where he said over there that we have to do Hashem's mitzvahs, not just people's mitzvahs. Which, it's a bit confusing what that means, but I'm pretty sure what he means is, Menachem, that sometimes you have someone who's like, wow, that's such a mitzvah. Wow, that's beautiful. Like, you're doing such a mitzvah. And some things are a mitzvah, and some things are very nice things to do. Can someone give me an example of such a big mitzvah? You cleaned up your room. You cleaned up your room, it's such a big mitzvah. But if your mother wants you to clean up your room, maybe it's a mitzvah of honoring your mother. But if you're living in a dormitory and you clean up your room, it's a very good thing. Everyone should clean up your room. But I don't know if that's a mitzvah. I think it's just normal human decency. Fine. So, Hashem's Chokhmah decides what is going to bring Hashem into the world. Now, what else does Hashem's Torah dictate? Not only which mitzvahs to do to bring Hashem into the world, what else did it talk about besides for doing mitzvahs? Hillel. What? What's the opposite of a mitzvah, Hillel? There we go. And similarly, Gozra, Chokhmah Torah. You know what else Hashem decreed with his wisdom in the Torah? The specific details of the 365 negative commandments. It's very easy to remember 365 because that's the amount of days in a solar year. So, you ready? So maybe it's to remind you that all 365 days of the year you shouldn't be doing anything wrong. Shehein kama v'kama dvarim pratim, that these things not to do, there's many different specific details. Shemoinim, what do they do? These details. Someone give me an example of an Aveira. Hit it. Menachem, what's an Aveira?
Which one?
Any Aveira.
Which Menachem?
Which Menachem. That's the complicated part. Give me an example of any Aveira. Removing the poles from the Aring.
That's hard.
Or how about stealing? That's a much more of a simple one. Fine. That what? One time I was in a taxi, and I was in an Uber actually, away from Mitzrayim in Melbourne. I was telling the driver about the 7 Noahide laws. And he's listening. Yeah, do not steal, do not kill, do not steal, believe in one God, don't be cruel to animals, etc. Basic laws. And then after I started speaking, you know what he tells me? He's like, I keep 5 of those. I'm like, oh gosh. I wonder what's going on here. I can get out now. Yeah? That's cute. So, there's many different specific Aveiros. What do? If the effect of a mitzvah is bringing Hashem into the world, what's the effect of an Aveira? Shemoinim, it holds back, or mastirim, and it covers Lias Gilir and Separkul, to have a revelation of Hashem's infinitude. So, do you know the 365 mitzvahs, loisase, the don't do's in the Torah, are compared to which part of the body? Someone help me out.
365
veins. Very good. 365 veins, the Giddim. So they carry the blood. What does that mean? Blood is a life force in a person. Hashem's trying to give us life force, and Hashem tells us all the things not to do. Not because Hashem's like trying to annoy you or not letting you have something. Hashem's like, don't have a heart attack. If you go steal, you're going to be cutting off your connection to Hashem. That's one of those 365 pipelines going to be blocked. If you go serve idols, another pipeline is blocked. So what do you end up having? It's a bit like a heart attack. When someone has, their veins are pumping blood to give life to their whole body, and if one of the veins get clogged, you could end up having very severe issues in one of your fingers if one of those veins get blocked. Then there's some veins that are closer to the heart of the brain. If that gets clogged, anyone here learns any science?
Yeah.
It could end up with a stroke, with a heart attack. It's very, very dangerous. So the same thing with mitzvahs. Hashem's telling you in the Torah, it's not that Hashem's telling you, hey, don't do this, don't do that, because it's mean. The opposite. Hashem's trying to save your life. It's like literally the doctor telling you, hey man, you got to cut back on the sugar, got to cut back on fatty foods. What, you think the doctor doesn't like you? He's trying to save your life. Hashem's telling you have 365 connections that I'm just giving you. You don't even have to do anything. Just don't mess it up. Don't block it. Some of them are going to be a very so-called small thing. So-called, it's a bit difficult to call the mitzvah small, but that's like having a blood clot in your finger. And some of them are much more central, like having a blood clot in the heart. So, you don't want to have anything holding back your life force from Hashem. You have to get rid of everything holding you back. And those are all the different specifics of a mitzvah of Hashem telling you not to do it. For example, over here, don't wear shatnez. You're not allowed to wear wool and linen together. So imagine your doctor tells you, hey man, don't wear wool and linen together. It's going to give you an allergic reaction. You're going to be like, yep, sure, doctor, no problem. But if it says in the Torah, the rabbi says so, it might not go so simple. You have a good story about that when we finish the paragraph. So, but Hashem's telling it to you, even more important than the doctor. It's your spiritual life force. Don't eat forbidden fats. So that's one that both the doctor and the rabbi will tell you. The rabbi tells you not to eat forbidden fats. The doctor might tell you not to eat many other types of fats. Similar from all the other laws, through forcing yourself. To not do the thing that's wrong. And being very, very careful with this. You get rid of all the coverings, all the impurities that cover over the revelation of Hashem. So if someone has something wrong with their bloodstream that's stopping their blood circulating, they might have to take some blood thinners or something. They might have to cut back on fatty foods, and then before you know it, the blood will all be flowing carefully, beautifully, well delivering life force to every part of them. So we have to get rid of all the Averis in order to have full life force. Kitzer, in short, Pnimius Harotzin. You ready for the summary? The inner will of Hashem. Nimshach Yisrael comes to Yidden, and how did Hashem come into your life? Through the Torah and the mitzvah. The whole inyan Torah, the whole point of Torah, who Amshachas Or Soviv, is bringing down Or Soviv to the world. What does that mean? That Or Mamale means it comes directly to you. Soviv is above and beyond the world. It shouldn't fit in the world. Nevertheless, we can bring it down through a mitzvah. Hashem gives us that opportunity to bring the infinite into the finite. You know what the difference between infinite and finite are? There's like an infinite difference between them. So, they're mach mitzvahs aseh through all. These mitzvahs aseh have amshachas b'kelim. They draw down Hashem into the world, into specific places. They are the landing pads for Hashem. They're considered like the limbs, of the body, which allow expression of the soul. For example, tefillah, v'tzitzis, tzedakah, sukkah, and Esther, those are all mitzvahs that bring down Hashem into the world. The mitzvahs lois say, what about mitzvahs lois say? Lahasher, klippus, sedachim, moedim, gilir, and sif. To get rid of all the bad stuff that are holding back the revelation from Hashem. Fine. My story was like this, that there was this couple who was having big shalom bayis issues. They couldn't stop fighting, the romance had left their marriage, they didn't love each other anymore, at least they didn't feel like it. So they came to Rabbi Yitzchak David Groner, the Rav of Melbourne. He was the Rebbe Shliach, he was the principal of the school, he was the Rav of the city, he did everything. He was very well respected in the community. So they came and they said, Rabbi, we're having some serious problems with our marriage. So the Rabbi Groner tells them, listen, I'll tell you what to do. You should start to keep, not the whole Shabbos, but start with just keeping Friday night. Friday night, not the whole Shabbos, but at least Friday night. So you go to shul, come home, light Shabbos candles, you should have a meal together. They're like, Rabbi, it's disgusting. We came to you with a genuine, vulnerable piece of our personal lives for advice, and you're just trying to push your religious agenda on us. Goodbye. They pick up and walk out. Okay. He's like, okay, I tried my best. Anyways, not the first time someone picked up and walked out on him. So it comes a few months later. This couple comes back. So they're like, Rabbi, we're ready to try keeping Shabbos. He's like, whoa, what changed? I thought you were so insulted about it. They're like, listen, Rabbi, after we gave up on you, we went to a marriage counselor, and every session cost us hundreds of dollars, and we had to sit and we had to talk and discuss and go through everything from top to bottom. And you know what he told us in the end? He told us, you know what you guys need? Once a week, you have to put away all the electronics and distractions in your house. You have to go out together to a social function, then come home, light some candles, and pull out a bottle of wine, and have a very nice dinner together. It's like, Rabbi, after all this hundreds of dollars, he told us the same thing that you did. Fine. So over here, the Rabbi tells you to do something, Hashem tells you to do something in Torah. Maybe you should listen to it like the doctor. Fine, before we go further, we're just going to have to find out one more thing. Okay, so what's going on over here? We have mitzvahs, draw Hashem into your life. So that could be like the blood flow. The blood that's giving energy to your body. The Aveiros are telling you, you have 365 channels that you can't break them. Those are the veins that allow to transport the blood. So you're bringing Hashem into your life means you're doing lots of mitzvahs, you have nice, healthy blood count. You know it's such a thing? They look at people, they look at how many white cells they have, how many red cells they have. You have a healthy blood count. The veins, we have to make sure that we're allowing the blood to circulate throughout the body properly. If they're clogged, it's not going to be able to go. If you do Aveiros, Hashem's not going to be able to come into your life. Now, in Perek Gimel, which we're going to get started today, we're going to talk about internal bleeding. That sometimes is a second issue of messing up your veins. Not only does the blood not flow, sometimes it flows to the wrong places. You ready? Perek Gimel, say another fact about loisase, about forbidden things. Shoimros, they are guards, the guardians. Wow, that sounds cool. Let's make a group, the Shoimros. That Hashem's Or should not go l'mokim sonoi, to a hated place. Shenikra toyevas Hashem, which is called the things that Hashem despises. Because it says, no evil shall find you. Hashem doesn't want anything bad to exist, to be alive. So Hashem is trying to not give chayas to all the klippos. So what's going on over here? Hashem's giving you so much chayas into your life. But the question is, Hashem's like, please do me a favor. Don't let the chayas out into the wrong places. You know, if you work at a nuclear reactor, you have to be very careful not to mess it up. Because if the energy goes in the wrong place, it'll be a big, big problem. So, in a person who gamkein also, they have doloi through separating himself. Do you know you make havdalah on Matzah Shabbos? You know how you make. So, we were figuring out that Hashem doesn't want to give any chayes to Klippa. So when you separate yourself, you know how you make Havdalah on Matzah Shabbos? What does Havdalah mean? You're separating between Shabbos and weekdays. So when you're Mavdil yourself, Midvarim Asurim from forbidden things, or Kashurim, and you're connected, B'dei HaChatzonim, with all the bad stuff, She'en Lehem Aliyah L'mayla, don't come up above. So here's the thing. You need to make sure that you're separated from the forbidden things, and you're not tied up and connected to all the outer, the bad things, the husk, the shell. Because Hashem's light does not reside in them. As long as you're connected to all the bad stuff, you can't go above. It's like they say in the Tropicana factory, they have a giant machine for peeling oranges. You don't want any orange peels in your juice. They have a massive machine that they put in thousands of oranges at a time, and it peels them all and then ships them off to be squeezed. But you have to make sure you don't get any peel left in it. You have to separate from the peel, from the outer things. That's a good idea afterwards. Like it says in the book of Isaiah, one of my top 24 books of the Tanakh is Yeshaya. And my honor I shall not give to any other. That's what Hashem says. Hashem doesn't want to give his honor, his glory, his kedusha, his energy to any bad places. Hashem, you think Hashem wants evil to exist? He doesn't want that. Hashem's actually giving it all to good people and saying, make sure to do the right things with this. Make sure not to mess it up. So you have to guard from all the bad things attaching to you. And you have to be a fitting receptacle, a place, a landing pad, a port for the ship of holiness to dock at. Okay, now we move on. It's understood. What's the point of the wisdom of the Torah? What's it telling you? It's the wisdom. How to bring about the infinite down here through the 2, 4, 8 mitzvahs. And getting rid of everything that's blocking through all the 3, 6, 5 forbidden things. Wait 1 second before we go weiter. Yeah, we have one more sentence before we have to have some commentary. That's what it means, Hashem's inner will. From Hashem. What does Hashem want? Just to come here. All Hashem wants at the end of the day is to be together with you, Menachem. All Hashem wants is to come down into this world, into you. How is that going to happen? Through you keeping mitzvahs. Through 248 places in your life to allow Hashem to be expressed. And getting rid of any blood clots that might block the flow of Hashem into your life. Through being very careful with the 365 forbidden actions. That in this, once you bring Hashem into your life and make sure there's nothing blocking, it's completed the ultimate purpose, and the will of Hashem. That what? You ready for the purpose of life? Wow, that was quick. Ready for the purpose of life? This is a spoiler alert. You're going to save yourself 30 years of meditating on Indian mountaintops right here. Hashem wanted to have a place to live down here. Hashem created all of existence so that specifically in a lower world, where people have choice to say, I don't want Hashem, He will choose to bring Hashem into our world and make it a holy, spiritual, beautiful place for Him. That's why you have to do lots of tikkun olam. That you have to fix up the world and make it a place fitting for Hashem. So that's in general terms. But B'derech Prat, specifically what does Hashem want? We said in general, Hashem wants to be in your life. Specifically, in a Yesh Kol Mitzvah, every single mitzvah has a specific Ha'ara Pratis, a specific way of Hashem coming into your life. From this general point. General point, Hashem's like, I want to be in your life. But specifically, I want to be in your life in the way of tefillin, I want to be in your life in the way of mezuzah, I want to be in your life in the way of tzitzis. Isn't that beautiful? Fine. So, what have we spoken about? That you have to make sure to bring Hashem into your life through mitzvahs. You have to make sure not to stop it through averos, and you have to make sure that there's no internal bleeding. Because you understand, if you pop one of your veins, chas v'shalom, which means one of the channels of bringing Hashem's energy into your life, if you pop it, number one, you're not going to have enough blood going to the right place, like your leg or whatnot. And number two, the blood's going to go to all the wrong places. It's going to get into the muscle tissue, and it's going to get into your internal organs. And who knows what damage it's going to do over there. What does that mean? That means when Hashem's energy is coming to you, and you say, you know what? I'm going to do an Aveira. I'm going to steal. I'm going to... What's another example?
Eat chocolate outside.
Rabbi Yoel said, eat chocolate on the street, yeah?
Or
Vacha standing on the street eating chocolate.
With two different types of animals.
Very good. It plows two different types of animals together. Any Aveira, it doesn't matter which one. You know what happens? You end up having the blood going all different places. Blood is energy. So you end up bringing Hashem's energy, Hashem's chayes, Hashem's life force, and you're giving it to all the evil forces. And that's why there's more terrorists in the world. And that's why there's more tornadoes and catastrophes. That's why there's more chaos in the world. Hashem doesn't want that to happen. Hashem said, I'm giving you the responsibility and the honor of having my life force and putting it towards good things. Give to charity, help to an old lady across the street. If you decide to invest in the forces of evil, the forces of evil are going to grow and get bigger and stronger and worse and worse. You ever read the book when you were a kid, Ellie and the Little White Lie? No. At first he says a little lie, and it's like this cute little lie on his shoulder. And then he says a bigger lie and a bigger lie, and it gets bigger and more ugly and scary, etc., etc. You're growing. You can be a farmer for Klippa. You can grow the Klippa. Or you can choose to invest it in Kedusha and grow some Kedusha. Either way, you're a farmer. So, let's go weiter. But before we go weiter, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Did you know, it says in Likutei Torah, so the most interesting thing on this point, about how every mitzvah is about bringing Hashem into your life, and every Aveira is don't leak your energy, and instead of going towards you, it goes towards the evil forces. He said, every single one of the 10 Commandments is telling you the same thing. It's telling you, do not steal. What does it mean? It's telling you, don't steal chayus, life force, from Kedusha and put it into Klippa. So don't kill is when you're letting out someone's blood, letting out their life force. Don't, what was the other ones? I don't remember all of them. But he went through them and explained that each one of them is telling you the same thing. Bring Hashem into your life and don't let all this Hashem energy go to the wrong places. Fine. So, by the way, it's just like the same thing. Imagine Hashem gives you a lot of life force, a lot of energy, a lot of kedusha. Let's say Hashem decides to provide for you in the way of money. So let's bring out this point in the way of money. Let's say Hashem decides you should win the lottery. Wow, Mazel Tov, you won $1 billion lottery. After federal and state taxes, you're left with $1 million. You're rich. Yeah? Amazing. I heard a good word that the lottery is just a tax on people who are bad at math. So, what happens is that now you won the lottery. Now, what are you going to do with your $1 million now that you're a millionaire? Are you going to give charity? That would be putting Hashem's brachas to a good place. Hashem decided that you're a fitting person to have the responsibility to have all this money. Will you give it to charity? Will you help people? Will you provide for your family? That's also a good thing. Will you decide to now spend more time in prayer every day because you don't have to worry about rushing off to business? Or will you invest in bad things? Will you use it for gambling or for alcohol or for certain charities that really shouldn't be a charity? Giving it to the Jihad Foundation of the
civilian
Middle East. Where are you going to put this money? And so too, Hashem gives each of us blessing, success, chayus, energy. Where are we going to put that? We're going to invest in a good thing or invest in the opposite? Fine, amazing.